Well, Elon Musk is inviting Australian retail investors to go on a trip to outer space. We'll talk all things SpaceX in just a second, but first of all, our dashboard for the week, the ASX 200 down 1.2% for the week. The S&P 500 down 2.6% just on the day in the US and down 2.6% for the week. The Nasdaq had a horror Friday, down 4.2% on the day, its worst day of the year, and down 4.7% for the week. The SOX index that we keep an eye on, the semiconductor chip stocks index, was down 10.3% just on the day. And the catalyst for all this panic was a US jobs report showing 172,000 jobs were created in America in May. That's a good thing, but it implies that interest rates may be headed up sooner than investors thought. Let's talk about the biggest float of all time, SpaceX. Elon wants to raise enough money that will value this business at $1.75 trillion, and that's US dollars, so that's basically the size of the entire Australian economy. Now, I had a look at the IPO documents this week, and it's basically three businesses squashed into one. One of the segments of the business I really like, and that's their segment that they call connectivity. And this includes the Starlink business. Now, this is their business of satellite internet, basically. Satellites orbiting the globe, allowing internet access to people, planes, out on boats, and in remote areas. This has real customers, real revenue, and real recurring revenue. So it looks a really good business. Last year, the connectivity segment had about $11.4 billion in revenue and a profit of $4 billion. So there's a really promising business there. Where it gets complicated is that business basically needs another segment to support it, and that is their space segment. And this is the one that includes their Starship program. That's their dream of having a cheap, reusable rocket system. So basically cargo can be taken into outer space like going to an airport, basically. And this segment really burns up a lot of cash. It's a surprisingly competitive space, this rocket launch area. And last year, that segment of the business had a loss of $657 million on revenue of $4 billion. So where this all hangs together is the third segment. And this is the one I really didn't like. The third segment is what they call their AI segment. It holds the old Twitter business, now called X. And this is where Elon Musk wants to create an organization that can compete with OpenAI and Anthropic in the AI space. This one is a financial black hole, unfortunately. Last year, the segment had revenue of $3 billion, but a loss of $6.4 billion US dollars. So it's a tricky business to value. The Starlink business looks good, but it needs the Starship business to support it. And the AI business, well, it doesn't look great. Now, what bankers are doing, the bankers who are promoting this deal, they're going around to investors and saying, well, we get to 1.75 trillion because we think that the AI business is going to go from revenue of 3 billion to 320 billion in just 5 years. Now, that is a pretty brave assumption. Just before I go, a couple of other notes about IPOs. I had a look at a paper. It took a look at 2,913 IPOs between 2001 and 2024. Now, on average, those IPOs went up 21.7% on the first day, but over the next 3 years, they underperformed the market by 18.9%. So I guess the story is there that hype wears off. The other thing I wanted to mention is if you are buying into SpaceX, you're buying into the idea that their AI segment is going to absolutely explode. There was some research by Bain Consulting Group this week. They were looking at firms who've been tracking their AI spending and how much cost savings that it's achieved for them so far. And they reckon 40% of companies have lowered costs by 10% or less by using AI. So AI is real, but we're just not quite sure whether it's going to be able to generate real money or not. And that is such a huge part of the SpaceX valuation. Now, personally, I'm going to give this one a miss. I don't particularly understand it. I know as much about how to create money from a space venture as I do about dating Margot Robbie, which is absolutely zero. So I'm going to leave it alone. But if you do get on board with this one, good luck. I hope it goes well. It could well be one of the most transformative businesses of all time, but to me, investing is looking at cash flows and not paying too much for those future cash flows, and I don't know what they are, so I'm just going to give it a miss. All right, well, if there's ever a company you want me to talk about, or if there's anything you want me to explain, please just drop me a line. As always, stay calm, play the long game, and good luck with your investing.